Alright, so we're back into After Effects. What we need to do is import our tracking footage, import our background footage, our initial aerial shot, and then finally get to work adding stuff. So let's go ahead and double click in the project panel and find your tracking data. Make sure it's a .ma file and hit open, and it opens as a composition. So you can just go ahead and drag that down. Open up the composition, and you'll notice that we have 3 null objects, and those are the 3 points that we tagged for export in PFTrack. And we also have a 3D camera down here, so that's important too. And if we drag through this, you can see that all 3 of our points move. They all look good. And now it's time to import our background footage, so just double click, find your footage, hit open, and drag that down into the timeline, and voila, there is our footage. So the next step is to basically start adding things and making this look like our set extension. Let's go ahead and import some pictures. I have these pictures of some jagged rocks like this one, and I have a couple of those. And I'm going to be just importing those. There we go. And we can just drag this out. You can see that. Now we have this ugly frame around it, so we're going to need to do a little bit of rotoscoping. So go ahead and double click the layer and hit the pen tool and just zoom in here and mask this out. So now we've cut out this rock, and now we can close this layer, and as you can see, we now have our rock here. So edges are a little crappy. Let's just clean that up. Let's hit M on your keyboard. That opens up the mask options. And under mask expansion, you can turn this down to the negative values just a little bit. You can see that there. And that looks good. That just shrinks the mask down a little bit to get rid of those nasty edges. So once you're done with that, now it's time to start positioning stuff and actually giving the appearance of 3D depth. And this is kind of a cool process here. So the first thing we need to do is rename our null objects. We're going to select this first one here. This is our background null object, so we're going to rename it. Just hit enter on your keyboard and that renames stuff. We're going to call this background null. Going to go here. This is our foreground null. And right here, this is our middle null. Alright, so we have these all named, and this looks good. So now what we can do is we can take our jagged rock layer, and I'm just going to call this rock. What we can do is, let's say we want this somewhere in the middle. So we can select our middle null, hit P on the keyboard. That opens up our position data. Click the stopwatch, and then hit Control C, or you can also do edit, copy, and then what you want to do, uncheck the stopwatch, go under the rock, hit P, select your position and the stopwatch, and hit Control V, or edit, paste, same thing, uncheck the stopwatch, and now we have this rock that's in the same location as our null object. So you can kind of see that there. It actually looks like it has 3D depth because it actually really is in 3D space. So this is kind of the gist of this, and we're just going to go ahead and start adding some stuff. I'm going to be going much faster and start adding some stuff. So this rock needs to be changed a little bit. The color needs to be changed. And actually what I'm going to do first is change the coloring of our background footage, because as you can see in our set extension, this is a really dark, gloomy shot. So I'm going to darken our footage down a bit. And this is going to be our footage. So I'm going to go select our footage, go Effect, Color Correction, Curves. And we can just bring this down, really darken it. And you know, bring the reds down a little bit. And we can also go Effect, Color Correction, Tint, and just use, I don't know, just use that to kind of desaturate it a little bit. So that actually looks pretty good. And the next thing we do is a sky replacement. You'll notice that I did replace the sky with a cloudy one. And for that we need an image of the sky. So let me go ahead and import an image here real quick. Alright, so I got a picture of my sky here. Right there, dark sky. And what we need to do first is get rid of the existing sky so that we can replace it with a new one. And let me just show you real quick. There we go. There's our dark cloudy sky that we're going to put in to our footage. So yeah, let's go ahead and key out our existing sky here. So what we're going to do is select our footage, go Effect, Keying, Color Key, and what we're going to do is hit the little paint dropper tool and pick you know, just a blue, and then we're going to turn up the color tolerance. And as you can see, it gets rid of that sky. Now sometimes it will get rid of parts of your land, and actually there's a really kind of neat method to get around that. What you can do is, let me turn this off here for a second. You're going to take your footage, hit Control D, so you now have a duplicate footage. Drag that underneath your first footage, and select your first footage, turn on the color key effect, and actually what you have is, if you turn off your second piece of footage, you have your keyed out sky, and then you have this background footage filling it in. Now you may be wondering, well, what's the point of that? Well, let me show you actually real quick. What we're going to be doing is taking our dark sky image and putting it in between the two pieces of footage, and it creates something like this. And what we can actually do is double click on our dark sky and grab the pen tool and just cut out our sky. So we can actually probably just do a nice little line here and just cut that out. Okay, so that we just isolate our sky. Oh, and set that to from add to subtract. There we go. Close that, and now we have our sky. So now we can just select that, drag it out a little bit, and there we go. We now have a sky, and none of our land is getting cut out because it's being filled in by that second footage layer. So just kind of a handy little trick. So this actually looks really good. What we can do now is just take our rock and just hit Control D a few times. That's going to duplicate our layer. You know, drag one over here, maybe resize it, make it larger, and just make sure that that looks good, and it does. Take another one of these. You can say push it back in Z space a little bit, stretch it out. You know, you can kind of just use your imagination with this. So to add a little bit of randomness to this, you can use other images of a rock. So as you can see, we are just using the same image here a couple of times, but what we can actually do is import a number of different rock pictures, like this one. There we go, and we're going to need to cut that out. So same thing as last time, open it up, And I'm just going to cut this out real quick. So we have these these lovely masked rocks here, and just close that. You can also hit V on your keyboard. That goes back to the selection tool. And then what we can do is take our layer, turn it into a 3D layer, and let's say we want this in the foreground. Since I have actually sort of, you can see this rock here, right here in the foreground, just kind of adds a little interest to it. So we can do that by taking our foreground null and doing the same thing that we did with these rocks. We can hit P, hit the stopwatch, Control C, that copies, uncheck the stopwatch, hit our jagged rocks image, and hit P, click the stopwatch, and paste, Control V, uncheck the stopwatch. So there we have it. And we can also, color correct this a little bit, make it look better. And another thing about it is that the light source is coming from the wrong direction. So what we can actually do is just simply go like this, flip it around, and then just use this tint to just kind of tint it a little bit. Maybe move it down slightly, so that we have these rocks. And you can just kind of, fill in some rocks in the foreground. You can take this, Control D, duplicate it, move it over a little bit, give it a little randomness. So this is basically the gist of set extension. Now, for this, we'd have to add a lot of rocks to it since it's just such a flat shot. But you can use shots with hills and some mountains already in it, and just sort of add to the existing hills and mountains. That's actually what I would recommend, instead of starting out with just a really simple shot and then adding a bunch of stuff in later. But this is sort of the gist of it. The way that I added the mountains was I just found some pictures of mountains, stretched it in the background, and then parented, or did that same little, I didn't parent them, but I basically positioned them the same place as my background null. I use my background null to put those mountains right there so that they're way in the background and they don't move as much. So anyway, hopefully this tutorial was helpful and kind of gave you an idea of set extension. If you want a more in-depth tutorial on actually how to add rocks and how to make stuff look interesting, let me know, because I'd be happy to make a tutorial about that. This was just kind of a little sort of set extension theory, but yeah. Anyway, I'm going to be uploading a lot more videos soon, and so if you enjoyed this, please subscribe, because there's a lot more videos and tutorials to come. So with that, I'm Avery Peck, and we'll see you next time.